Part 2. Ronan opened his mouth to respond, but the door burst open. 2 healers rushed in, their faces pale with urgency. One of them clutched a bloodied cloth against his chest, eyes locked with Ronan's. Alpha Ronan, the bleeding is too much. We need the transfusion immediately. Ronan's hesitation vanished. He stiffened, then turned sharply to the healer beside me. Quickly, take her blood. We don't have time to waste. The healer glanced at me, clearly unsure. I met his gaze and with a calm smile extended my arm. No need to hesitate, I murmured, baring my wrist. Take it. This is what he chose, after all. Blood began to trickle from the needle. I watched it pool and collect into the bag. So that's your decision. My voice rang clear over the growing silence. Then I hope you all live happily ever after. Ronan frowned. What are you saying? Before he could finish, Rachel barged in again like a storm, her shrill voice cutting through the room. Why is this taking so long? Mara already lost consciousness. Her words struck like knives, and the healer pressed harder against my arm, rushing the flow. The bag quickly filled, warm and red. The second it was sealed, they snatched it away and ran back toward Mara. I moved to stand to take the pup and go, but Rachel blocked my way, arms crossed and face twisted in disdain. And where do you think you're going? She snapped. Do I still have any use here? I asked coldly. The blood's been drawn. Shouldn't I be excused? Rachel's lips curled into a smirk that didn't reach her eyes. Excused? You think 1 bag of blood is enough? Who said we only needed 1? She turned to the healer. Take more. 2? No, 3 more bags. The healer hesitated. But ma'am, that much blood, it could kill her. Mother, that's enough, Ronan finally said, jaw tight. We have what we need. Rachel spun toward him, indignant. Enough? Have you seen Mara? She's as pale as death. She sacrificed her body for your child. And you're content with a single bag of blood from this barren woman? Ronan flinched but said nothing. Rachel turned back to the healer and waved her hand dismissively. Do it. Now. We need extra in case of emergency. The healer looked to me conflicted. I offered a tired smile and nodded. Please do as she says. His brows furrowed. Are you sure? I am, I said, then looked at Ronan dead in the eyes. After all, I'm saving the Alpha's child. This is the least I can do. Something flickered in his gaze. It could be guilt or maybe regret. But before he could speak, Rachel let out a loud scoff. That's good. At least you know your worth, she sneered. You might be barren, but you're still useful. Like livestock. I didn't reply. I simply turned my face away and stared at the ceiling as the healer inserted a second needle. The bags filled quickly, and by the time the third was sealed, the world around me had started to spin. My limbs trembled, my chest tightened, and darkness prickled at the edges of my vision. But I didn't faint. I wouldn't give Rachel satisfaction. She snatched the bags from the healer's hands. Let's hope this is enough to keep the child safe, she said, giving me a harsh look before sweeping out of the room. Ronan followed her but paused at the doorway. He didn't look back at me. Go home. I'll treat you once I'm done here. They left. The healer offered me sugar water, something sweet to keep me conscious. I sipped it slowly, thanked him with a nod, and after a few more minutes of silence, I took the injured pup in my arms and left the hut. I didn't return to Ronan's house. I went back to my own shack. I lay down with the pup beside me and allowed myself to rest. My eyes closed, heavy with exhaustion, my breath sinking with the pup's faint heartbeat. It wasn't even an hour before the knocking started. I didn't move, not when the first knock came, not even when it turned into pounding. I was too tired to stand, too tired to care. The door burst open. Rachel stormed in like a storm. Behind her, Ronan followed with less fury, but his silence was louder than any accusation. What do you think you're doing? Rachel snapped, eyes flashing with disgust as she spotted me still on the bed, lying here like some pampered mistress while Mara's starving. She just survived a trauma. Get up and cook her a proper meal. I sat up slowly, every limb protesting. The pup stirred beside me, sensing my distress. I'm not a servant, I murmured, voice low. You already got my blood. Isn't that enough? Don't be so dramatic, Rachel said with a sneer. We need meat. Ox preferably. Something rich to help Mara recover. And you'll be the one to hunt it. I blinked. You want me to go out now? In this condition? Of course, she scoffed. You're still walking, aren't you? And since you're so desperate to be useful, here's your chance. I turned to Ronan, waiting, hoping. His jaw was tense. Mara needs strong protein. The healer said it's the best way to support the fetus after blood loss. You're the alpha, I said. Send your men. Or go yourself. He looked away. I can't. Mara needs me near her now. She's shaken and injured while being pregnant. I need to have my men guard around while I'm beside her. So I'm the only one left to do it, I said, voice dry. I gave more blood to save your heir. And now you're ordering me to be the one to hunt an ox for that woman to eat? Are you crazy? Rachel rolled her eyes. You're acting like we're asking you to climb a mountain. You're not dead, Bella. Be grateful you still have a place here. A place. I laughed bitterly. Where? At your feet. At his door. Don't test my patience, she warned. Go, now, before I drag you myself. I stood slowly, the pup whimpering as it tried to follow me. I glanced down at it, heart twisting. Then I looked back up at Ronan. He didn't speak, didn't move, didn't stop her. Just watched me like he always did now. Long gone the love those eyes hold. I swallowed the lump in my throat. Fine, I said, voice hoarse. I'll go. I passed Rachel, my shoulder brushing hers. She hissed and stepped back like I was something filthy, but I didn't look back, not even when Ronan called my name. The cold wind bit into my skin as I trudged deeper into the forest, each step heavier than the last. My limbs were sore, drained of strength after giving too much blood. I could still feel the dull ache pulsing through my arms. The pup limped beside me, its small frame brushing against my ankle as if sensing my pain. It's okay, I told the little pup. The scent of oxen drifted through the damp air, earthy and familiar. I followed the trail until I found a clearing where a herd grazed lazily beneath the towering trees. I spotted a lone ox straying away from the group, its horn chipped and its left leg limping slightly. I crouched, biting back the dizziness, and let my wolf senses take control. My bones ached, refusing to shift, so I remained in human form as I lunged from the bushes. The ox noticed me too late. I slammed into its side, grabbing onto its fur as it bucked and roared. My nails dug into its hide, and I pulled with all the force I had left. It shook its massive head, knocking me back. My body hit the ground hard, the breath rushing from my lungs. Still I stood. Blood trickled down my temple from the fall, but I didn't stop. I lunged again, dodging its horns and slashing a long wound along its flank. It roared in pain, rearing back. I used that moment to grab onto its back, stabbing a crude knife between its ribs. The ox let out one final cry, its legs trembling before collapsing with a heavy thud. I stumbled back, my vision swimming. Rain began to fall, soft at first, then heavier, turning the soil into mud. The sky darkened, thunder rumbling above the treetops. I felt cold, not from the weather, but from the emptiness inside me. My knees buckled, and before I could brace myself, I crumpled beside the ox, my cheek pressed against the wet earth. The pup whimpered. Its cries cut through the storm. It barked, then yelped, running in circles around my motionless form. It nosed at my cheek, trying to wake me. Then with sudden urgency it turned and ran. From the darkness of the trees, a figure stepped forward. The pup froze, growled weakly, but then sniffed the air and barked louder with recognition. The man lowered his hood, surprise flickering in his eyes. "Alpha," he called over his shoulder. "It's the missing pup. We've found it." 2 more men joined him, dressed in dark cloaks, their eyes scanning the clearing. They rushed forward when they saw the pup's injured leg. "It is hurt," one muttered. "Someone should have found the pup. The injury has been bandaged." The pup bit onto one of their sleeves and tugged hard, whining. "It seems to want us to follow it. Should we go?" They all looked at the alpha. The alpha nodded. The pup barked more, and they hurriedly followed. It led them straight to me, lying unconscious beside the felled ox. The men's expressions changed instantly from surprise to alarm. "She's freezing," one said, kneeling beside me. "She killed the ox on her own?" Another whispered, astonished. "No time to talk. We need to bring her back now." They worked quickly. One carried me while another picked up the pup, and the last shouldered the ox. The storm raged on, but they moved fast through the forest, heading toward the pack's camp. Meanwhile, back in the pack house, Rachel paced across the living room, arms crossed and temper rose. Night had fallen, and still I hadn't returned. She slammed a dish on the table hard enough to crack it. "Where is that woman?" she barked. "Mara needs to eat. She was supposed to bring meat before sunset." Mara sat quietly on the couch, hands resting on her slightly swollen belly, her face pale. "I can eat something light, Rachel." "Really? I don't need ox meat." "You're pregnant." Rachel cut in sharply. "You need strength. That girl should have been back hours ago. She's probably lazing around like the ungrateful parasite she is." Mara bit her lip, her expression unreadable. Ronan stood by the window, one hand resting on the sill, eyes locked on the trees swaying in the rain. He hadn't spoken for minutes, hadn't moved either. His silence was heavy, oppressive. Rachel noticed. "Don't tell me you're worried about her," she scoffed. "She's out there in the rain," Ronan muttered. "So what?" Rachel snapped. "She should have been back. If she's dead, that's her own fault." Mara turned to her, eyes wide. "Don't say that. She helped me. She gave her blood. We owe her." Rachel waved her hand dismissively. "Nonsense. You don't owe her anything. If anything, her death would make it easier. Once she's gone, your bond with Ronan will form naturally." The air in the room shifted. Ronan turned around slowly, his eyes flashing with the weight of his alpha dominance. "Enough," he said, his voice cold and deadly calm. "Bella is my bonded mate. Whether you approve or not, that is the truth." Rachel recoiled, but her pride kept her defiant. "She can't give you children," she hissed. "Would you still choose someone barren over the future of this pack?" Ronan didn't answer. He turned back to the window, jaw clenched, and said nothing more. The tension remained thick until the door swung open and one of the patrolmen entered, soaking wet and breathless. "Alpha," he called out. "There are strangers at the border. They're not hostile, but they're carrying someone." And he paused, glancing at Ronan. "It's her. It's Bella." Ronan's heart dropped. "And she seems..." The scout looked away, afraid to deliver the news. "She seems dead."